Welcome, Walnut. I'm Lara, but you can call me Laz, your host for Walnut Wednesday. This is your reminder to be brave, be yourself, and know that you can make the world a better place just by what you decide today. Here, I'm going to share my weekly walnuttings with you on a Wednesday. Hello, Walnut. Welcome to another episode of Walnut Wednesday. And this week, Walnut, I am so excited and happy to have my beloved Rachel White back on the podcast. This will be her third debut because I'm obsessed and I love her. Rachel, welcome back to Walnut Wednesday.
Thank you so much for having me.
So this week, Walnut, is super exciting because Rachel's going to be sharing one of her magical gifts that she has and is going to be doing a mini Gene Keys reading on me. So you'll get to experience what the heck a Gene Keys reading sort of entails. So Rachel, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself if there is a Walnut who hasn't met you before, and then we can dive straight in?
Yes, I would love to. So my name is Rachel White. I am an author, speaker, Gene Keys guide, coach. I have many other titles that I have used, but they are my main ones. And the common thread in all of my work is really around storytelling, and I help women write and publish their book to tell their story and to also dive into their Gene Keys, which holds many codes in the archetypes of our cosmic storylines that are playing out in our life. So they're my main areas of creative work. And yeah, that's a little introduction to me. You can find me at by Rachel White on Instagram, and all my details and work are there if you want to connect and explore more.
Awesome. And literally littered throughout the walnut tree in the guide section and the on the wall, everywhere. Rachel's everywhere, Walnut. Awesome. Thank you for that intro, Rachel. Do you want to just jump on in and get started? And then as I mentioned, Walnut, I'll keep checking for any comments. If you have questions, we'll check in with them later, but go ahead, Rachel.
Yes, amazing. So I'm so excited to do this little dive and exploration into your profile, Lara. So what I'm going to go through is what I call your light reflected, where I'm really only going to be speaking to the gifts within your profile. And the gifts are how we manifest and embody our light and our divineness into the world in a material human way. So when I looked at your profile, three main themes emerged. And if we think of our profile as having all these interweaving storylines and these interweaving gifts that work together, when we combine them together, it paints this really beautiful picture. So the first of the three core themes that I see in your profile is really just how powerful and creative your mind is designed to be. Your mind is this really great and powerful portal for creativity. And the way that you question, dream, muse, think about things and think about life will really naturally lead to this beautiful expansion of creativity, love, and awareness. You're a really powerful thinker, and it always leads to these breakthroughs in that creativity, love, awareness, freedom, all the good things. And you're really also your mind is really designed to have this multifaceted wisdom where you can really you easily adapt to anything at a mental level, and that translates to how you move through it as well. So you have a high level of versatility, and that's because you take your mind into everything. So you can go into any situation, your mind still has that creative power. So the gifts that feed into this theme that I see in your profile are the 16th gift of versatility, really a strong gift to be able to transfer your talents across any field. And I think we see that in you, your work, your business, your corporate role, your other work that you do. You take your creative mind into all of those fields and you use the same talents in whatever you're doing. And a lot of those talents are coming from your huge mental power that is a very like creative mental power. And you have the 63rd gift of inquiry, like a really powerful questioner of life. And it's like your questions lead to breakthroughs in logic and expansive logic across the collective. And it's like you're designed to be this person that unravels the mystery of life just through the questions that you're asking. And then you have, you know, the gift of expansion as well, to bring this calm level of excitement into everything you do. And you have the 64th gene key with the gift of imagination twice in your profile. So extra potency for this really beautiful poetic gift that really thrives in just fully trusting its visions, and it inevitably takes these quantum leaps because it has a strong tie to its imagination, which is a really strong mental gift as well. And when there's mental surrender in how powerful your imagination is, like quantum leaps are always taking place. So that is the first theme and the gifts that are tying into it. And the second major theme that I see is more of your inner energy. So a lot of that was like a lot of your inner mental power, but how it is expressed outwards. This next theme is really about your inner energy. And it's all about like having this really strong sense of determination and commitment. When your full heart is all in, like 100%, nothing less than 100% in, you will live as the most fortunate person in the world. And you're really designed to be this person that celebrates all success, no matter how small, and to be able to really recognize the beauty in celebration, which I think is like so you.
Yeah,
and
I'm thinking that, like, oh.
yeah, you're so like, and it's your inner strength of determination, commitment, and celebration that keeps you in alignment with your purpose. And your strength is so beautiful because you have this strength that is really easily loaned to others. And it's not even loaned, it's freely given. And the more you give, the more you receive. Like you can't, when I say give your strength, like you keep it for yourself and you share it with other people. Like it's an undepletable inner resource that you have that you get to share with other people. And what adds depth to this is that you have this really deep understanding of others and of life, and you have this like grounded ancestral wisdom in your bones, which brings like this deep sense of honor to the work that you do, because it honors your legacy, your like ancestral line energetically, and you know your physical ancestry as well. So all the gifts in your profile that really feed into that major theme are, you have the gift of determination, which is all about like celebrating the small successes because you know that they will inevitably add up to victory. And that's like your life's work. That is what you're here to really work and do in the world. And you have the gift, the 32nd gift of preservation, which is really about like drawing from the old and grafting it onto the new, and really grounding the wisdom of our ancestors, of your lineage, deeply valuing the past and like honoring where you have come from, and wanting to keep like the legacy of your ancestry alive in your work. And that legacy can come from like people you've learned from, but also your like blood ancestry as well. And you have the
Deeply.
amazing. And you have the 34th gift of strength, which is this inner strength that really thrives in it, like the 34th gift of strength. It's like it can be quite competitive, but it is like this really powerful force that can give strength to all. So it kind of rises the competitiveness of everyone you're around, and you're not really competing to win. You're like competing in like its highest expression of the world with yourself. Like, and you have, when you are in alignment with your gift of strength, like you have the strength of the universe, of the whole cosmos, like behind you, backing you, and effortlessly share that with others when you are in your gift. And you also have like the gift of understanding and the gift of commitment. And like the 29th gift of commitment is fueled by the divine gift of devotion. And this is really about like having your full heart in, like you will not settle for anything less than 100% commitment when you're in this like 29th gift frequency. And this is about like if you're like 99% committed and 1% committed is the same thing. Like it needs to be 100% like full all in for all the fortune to flow to you in all the ways. And like that is in your culture sphere, which is really linked to your money patterns as well, which is really cool. So then that's the second. And then the third theme was really only one gift that was really like shining as it needs to stand on its own. And it has a really powerful weave between everything in your profile. And that is your gift of delight. Delight is your highest work in the world. Like this is your vocation, like what you're here to really, like your highest service in the world, your highest work in the world is when you fully appreciate the richness of being alive and who you are and free in who you are. Your highest service is to embrace the small pleasures in life, to live in delight and to embody that and to share that. So I feel like that one gift, like you really needed to be on its own, even though it weaves in to all the other things that I've talked about.
Yeah, totes.
And the last thing I want to say is that you have a lot of line 5s in your profile. And, you know, it's in your life's work, your vocation, your high service, your culture, and your IQ, your intellectual intelligence. And this just like even amplifies that you are here to be a strong mental leader in the world. And like we can expand our definition of mental. It doesn't mean you need to be the most intelligent person ever or like genius level IQ, even though you are a natural creative genius. It's really about like really embracing how powerful your creative thinking is and all the breakthroughs it leads to, and using that in the way that you lead through your strength, through your commitment, through your imagination and inquiry, in the way you're just here to effortlessly expand people and give them strength. So let us a little dive into your gifts. And I do just want to note that like every gift, every individual gift has so much depth within itself. Yeah. And every gift is also part of a wider storyline that captures like the sacredness of the shadow and the city, like the divine feel of it as well, to paint the whole picture. And the lines, I only like mention your 5th line, but the lines in every sphere adds more texture and more color. And really the greatest wisdom, it will always come from within yourself. So if anything that I shared like trigger this like inner musing, you know, like follow that thread and follow whatever wisdom it stirs up and muses from within you.
I love that. And I resonate with so much of that, almost all of it, to be honest. And I've been thinking that, like, I was literally thinking this morning, like, oh my gosh, literally, I feel like I don't really commit to anything, but I do. Like, I commit to Walnut Wednesday and I celebrate all of the delights and all of the things and all of the baby steps. And this is my like path of genius. This is my thing, my mastery, my thing. So like, yeah, I just had that little moment today. So I think that just links in really, really well with the things you've said about me. It's so nice.
And it's like, if you think about like, this is your commitment, like the work you're doing in Walnut Wednesday is your commitment, and the other things you're viewing as maybe not being committed to, it's just because like they're there to support this in a way. Yeah. So it's like, this is what you're committed to, and the other things like can live their story and fade away. That doesn't mean you aren't committed to them like in the moment that you're in them. So yeah, there's a lot more to say around commitment and the devotion that it feels from, but I think you are very committed in the way that you show up.
Oh, thank you. I receive your compliment. Rachel, so I know that I have a few walnuts who have already said to me leading up to this, they were like, what the F is a gene key? What does
Yeah.
it like mean? So I've talked to and still do human design quite a lot. And
Mhm.
my perception of gene keys is it's different, but it's like a sister thing and they all kind of like merge together in little ways. But I feel like gene keys is like more. It's the only way I'd sort of describe it. But I would
Yeah.
love if you could give like a little brief definition just for
Mhm.
people who are like, what the heck is this?
Yes, I would love to. So the Gene Keys transmission holds the story codes of the 64-part matrix of the universe. So to back up a little, like what the Gene Keys is built on is the I Ching, which is a thousands and thousands year old transmission from ancient China, which, like before the technology we have today, they mapped out the universe and they found this 64-part matrix within the universe, and they gave each, in the I Ching they call them hexagrams, they gave each a story, but it was more of like they gave them a name and like a description of that name. And so that has been around for like literally thousands and thousands of years. And then other systems and transmissions were built upon that. One that a lot of people know about is human design. So human design is based on the I Ching, but human design added in this understanding of human genetics, and it linked the map of the universe to the map of our body, because we have a 64-part matrix within our DNA. So human design linked that. And there's other elements in human design as well. And then what the Gene Keys did, it built upon both of those foundations. Richard Rudd is the founder of the Gene Keys, and he was a long time human design student. What he explored further was that, so in human design, the hexagrams from the I Ching are called gates. So Richard Rudd focused on the gates and saw how they weren't just one expression. Like the frequency we were living in altered the experience we had with those gates, and he started seeing them as keys and as gene keys. So the gene keys really goes into depth of the story archetypes that are encoded within our DNA. It has like the shadow, the gift, and the city, the whole storyline, the whole story archetype. And like the Gene Keys takes a very like feminine, gentle approach of like, it has a very detailed full transmission, but its intention is always to activate your own inner wisdom by bringing you like into awareness of the storylines that are playing out and the interweaving storylines that are playing out within your life. That is just a reflection of what is playing out within your body, like in your DNA and in the depth of your inner worlds. So that is a little overview of like where the Gene Keys come from. And what I love about the Gene Keys is that it just has this poetic, beautiful transmission for us to really explore our inner depth, like the gifts, like I just went through for you. But as equally sacred as the gifts is like the shadows. Like, what are we, where, like, what is our expression when we are in our shadow frequencies? Like, what is our inner world like when we're in our shadow frequency, like a lower frequency? And can we find like sacredness to use those shadows to fuel like our creative gifts? And then the city is like, city means divine gift in Sanskrit. So it's like our direct fractal line from source. What is our flavor of source energy? And in the Gene Keys, it's like the 64 cities are just 64 different words for love. So like, what is our flavor of love that we bring into the world? And then how is that manifested into action, like through our gifts? So like, if we look at the 29th Gene Key, it has the gift of commitment that I talked about, and it has the city of devotion. It's like devotion is one of your languages of love, like one of your words for love. But then it also has the shadow of half-heartedness. And so whenever there isn't 100% commitment, the shadow frequency of half-heartedness is coming into play, which engenders misfortune. And it's about like, and there's a whole shadow story to that, but it's about like using that energy to fuel your gift of commitment. The shadows really like provoke us into our gifts. Like whenever we are suffering or struggling or in this victim mentality, some shadow story is playing out for us. And when we expose ourselves to the transmission of the story of our shadow, we see its higher nature. Like we see the gift that it's trying to wake us up into. And just having an awareness like of the transmission immediately like shifts our frequency and shifts our perspective to bring us into our gifts. And it's in our gifts where our natural genius and our creativity is. So it takes us through that story. And then there's the 6 lines in the Gene Keys, like there are lines in human design and they have the same like fundamental meanings, but the Gene Keys takes it like 1,000 steps further because it gives it like there's complete in-depth keynotes and descriptions for the lines for each sphere that they're in, and it has like the same core meaning but a very different like exploration depending on the sphere it's in. So your Gene Keys profile, I didn't even say, is made up of 11 different spheres, so you have up to 11 Gene Keys in your profile. Sometimes you may have one twice, like you have the 64 twice, and then each sphere has a line which gives just like a new color, nuance, texture to the story of the Gene Key that you have there. So like in the spheres you have, for example, your life's work, like the work you are here to do in the world, and then you have your purpose, who you are meant to be in the world. You have like your pearl sphere, the pearl of wisdom, your radiance, your IQ, EQ, SQ, and your core and vocation sphere, and your evolution. I think I've named all of them. Your attraction sphere as well. And all of those spheres are based on like planetary alignments. Like your attraction sphere, for example, is based on the moon. Your life's work is on the sun. Your purpose is on the earth. And like there's different planets within the Gene Keys profile as well. So it's about like, what was the map of the cosmos you were imprinted with at your birth? And like how is the map of the cosmos like reflected within your DNA? And it's like we really feel into this energy that like we are the universe. Like it's a unification of the macrocosm with the microcosm, like the macrocosm of the universe with the microcosm of the inner universe within us. So we get this imprint of these planetary alignments which corresponds with different Gene Keys, which imprint within our DNA these storylines that will play out in our life. And these storylines are to, you know, return to the fractal, but to live the story. And it's our gift that is like the way that we live our story, because a lot of the shadows are the same. Like we're like a victim in some way. We either like repress our shadow in fear and collapse our energy in, or we're reactive to our shadow and express it out in anger. And there's different flavors and stories to that. And then the cities are, you know, a return to oneness, to love. But our gifts are very unique. Like the way in the middle, the way of the journey is very unique to us. Like the way we get to manifest, like the way that we live our life and the way that we live our journey in life. So for me, it's really about like really understanding your story and like the inner world, like within yourself, and how things and why things are playing out, and also recognizing like the sacredness in all of you. Like your shadows are equally as sacred as your gifts, because within every shadow there is the gift. And yeah, so I've just been riffing. Let me know if I've missed like any points, like any questions you want me to come back to. But that is, yeah, just a little riff on like the magic of the Gene Keys, what they are and what they can bring into our life. So there's the Gene Keys transmission, and then there's the Gene Keys organization that produces all of this material. They have a lot of resources and courses and all of that. And you can go to their website, just genekeys.com, and you'll see in the menu free profile. All you need to do is enter in like your birth details, your date, time, place, and you'll get your free profile. So you can explore the Gene Keys. So you'll see on there like the Gene Key number, a decimal point, and then a line. So you'll see your Gene Key in line for all your spheres with the names. And something that the Gene Keys does really beautiful is like recontextualize a lot of words that it uses. So you may see one of your Gene Keys with like a certain word that you have a definition of that isn't actually what it means within the context of the Gene Keys. So I do recommend exploring beyond the words, or like feeling into the words, to really understand like what it means, like within this framework and within this transmission. And there's the Gene Keys book, there's many resources online. You can book in a deep dive or anything with me as well. But yeah, just exposing yourself to the transmission in any way is just a really beautiful process in activating your own wisdom and tuning deeper into your own story.
Yeah, totally. And I think what I like about the Gene Keys, Rachel, even though it's like it's still that next level into a rabbit hole that I'm not quite ready to like fully dive into. I've had little taste testers from you, but and like today, which I like absolutely love. But what I love about it is like I feel in human design, you get your chart and then you get the write up, and it's very neutral. It's very like bleh.
Yeah.
And with the Gene Keys, you actually get the shadow, the gift, and the city. So you get that little trifecta of how to utilize it in a beautiful way. So that's kind of like how I put it in my brain. But obviously, like you say, there's so many like threads and lines and layers to going deeper into it. So Walnut, if you're anything like me, I would suggest booking in a session with Rachel, because one, it's nice to just hear someone talk about you. Like I feel like $1 million right now just from this episode. And two, it's actually like nicer when you're looking into your own chart, but I like someone just telling me what I need to know sort of about it. Would you agree, Rachel, as the reader? Is that a bit nicer to experience?
I feel like it's always nice to hear nice things about yourself. And I would also say that like the work of the Gene Keys is like yours to do alone. So I can guide you along the path. I can tell you about your gifts and your shadows and your cities, but like the breakthroughs and the wisdom will come from within you, and the way you move them is like yours to do. So I think both come into play.
Yeah, I remember when I got my first like full in-depth thing from you, and you were like, just percolate on it, just like relax and feel into it, because I read it, I was like what the hell? But like I had you there guiding me with like if I had any questions and things like that. So it is a beautiful like flow of self work, but not it. To be honest, for me, it wasn't really like hard out self work. It was more just like letting it sort of letting the information infuse and percolate essentially.
Yeah, I love like mental percolation is like one of my favorite words. But the art of contemplation is a really big like cornerstone of the Gene Keys. And this is what like one of the first things I really fell in love with about it, is that there isn't actually anything you need to do. Like your body knows what to do, and you will naturally be guided in what to do when you simply allow space for contemplation. So just reading the pages of your Gene Keys, even if you're not really mentally, conceptually fully understanding it, like leads to like inner contemplation and these like insights and breakthroughs that would naturally occur. So it's not like, when I say like the work is yours to do, like there's actually no work. It's just about living your life and living your story, and the awareness you have of your story just naturally leads to things changing. And like because like the Gene Keys transmission is so sacred, like it brings you into divine synchronicity with life. And when you move like when you know the stories of your gift, you can see the way that you effortlessly flow with the universe, flow with life, like flow with the unfolding story. So yeah, that's a big part of it as well, that I really love. Like it's this soft, gentle, feminine approach of inquiry and contemplation and compassion for yourself as well. And like I loved discovering human design. Like I discovered human design about a year before the Gene Keys, and like finding out I was a manifestor was a game changer in many ways. Like I really like that. And like there's many really beautiful things about human design, and especially the way that some guides and teachers like go into that transmission. But what I love more about the Gene Keys is that it does like have that feminine, softer essence where it isn't about necessarily telling you things that are better for you or that are like about you. Like it's really, even though it's so detailed and so in depth, it always holds the space for you to touch in with your own inner wisdom.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. And you can tell like how I can feel how passionate you are about it, Rachel, and how much and in depth you have like researched it and felt into the Gene Keys as a practice. And I know that you post on TikTok and all the things, and it's all like Gene Keys theme. So Walnut, if you've enjoyed this as a little taste tester, I encourage you to go and check out Rachel's offers. Do you want to have a quick debrief of the walnuts of what you've got in regards to Gene Keys, Rachel?
Sure. So at the moment, I have basically 3 different options. I have the Your Light Reflected offer, which is basically you receive an audio of what I just went through with Lara. So there's that offer. And then there's a deep dive into your activation sequence, which is your primary 4 Gene Keys and the different elements that come into that sequence, which is where I recommend you start if you want to do a deep dive into like the shadow, the gift, like the full stories of your Gene Keys. And then I also have an option to go through your entire profile if you want to go through all 11 spheres. And you can just see all the details of all that's included on my website, just byrachelwhite.com. If you go to like the work with me section, you'll see the Gene Key section that you can go and have a little explore in there. But yeah, if we just connect at by Rachel White, I usually post on Mondays like how to work with me, most Mondays if I don't forget. So you'll see it in my stories and you can reach out with any questions as well.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. Yeah, Walnut, so you know where to go, you know where the goss is, and you know I will probably have Rachel back here with us to talk another time anyway. But before we wrap up, Rachel, what is there something that you feel left on your heart that you just want to say to a walnut, either a specific walnut or just in general to the collective, that you haven't voiced or feel like you want to voice?
Something really strongly is coming through around just like our shadows, because when I first started exploring my shadows, it was suddenly like this relief and like this weight lifted off of me, that it's like the things that I always thought were like wrong about me or like bad about me were actually really sacred, because they were part of this really sacred storyline that were so deeply ingrained with the most beautiful and amazing things about me. So it really brought in like this deep like acceptance of the shadow side, like of my gifts. So I just want to say like to everyone that like there is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing bad about you. You are a perfect amount of everything that you are. And the Gene Keys can be just a really beautiful space to fully explore that further and embrace your shadows, like embrace all these things like in a different light about you that you may have judged harshly about yourself in the past.
Totally. That was delicious. Thank you so much. I ask this to every guest on the podcast, and you've already answered it twice, Rachel, but I'm curious to know that now, like because we've worked together on a deeper level, we've connected and been friends for such a long time now. My token question for guests on the podcast is, what does being a walnut mean to you? Again.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think I said this on my second time as well, but like I can't remember what I said the first 2 times. But I think like whenever I hear the word walnut, I just really think of like your definition. Like it means to be brave. And I think if I expand on like what does it mean to be brave, I think being brave is about like being equally vulnerable as you are strong. And if we tie it back like to the Gene Keys, it's really about like embracing all of you and embracing the way that you really want your story to play out. And to fully live your story, you have to have like a full embrace of all elements of it. So yeah, I would say embrace the vulnerability, embrace the strength. Being a walnut is being brave in all elements.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love you, Rachel. Thank you so much. And Walnut, if you enjoyed this episode, 1, connect with Rachel. 2, make sure you let us know that you've been listening. I'm always open for questions, as I'm sure, Rachel, you are too. So feel free to reach out inside the walnut tree, or just like do a little screeny shot and tag us, because we love hearing from you in general. And thank you for your time, Walnut, and for being here for this episode. And I hope you enjoyed it and got a little taste test of just exactly what you need from an intro into Gene Keys. And Rachel, thank you so much for being on the podcast again for a 3rd delicious time. Words, I just love you so much. Obviously, I'm obsessed with you. You're the best. You're my favorite. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me here. And thanks everyone for listening.
Bye.
Bye.